Welcome to another Pitch in the Zone, the weekly gathering of a couple of coaches that help one presenter with their 3-minute pitch. We have Nathan Gold, pitch coach from the Silicon Valley, Michael Marchak joining us from the Midwest, speaker, author, and technology enthusiast. We have Marco Vezzale joining us from Thailand, and he is going to be your timekeeper as well. And we have Scotty, another experienced coach with a focus on language. And then we have a couple of people that have joined us today. Some of them have been in your seat before, Linda, and will certainly also have some great feedback for you. The rules are very simple. Linda, you get 3 minutes time for your pitch, but before you start, let me ask you, what is your audience? What is your target audience so that we can really put on the right hat and slip into that role?
This is more of an investor introduction pitch. So if I was really pitching to investors, I would have qualified investors. I would show some of our clients and go over revenue and revenue projections. I've left those deliberately out of the presentation. So this is kind of like, hey, here's who we are and what we do.
All right. And with that, Linda, the floor is yours. If you want to share your screen to show some slides, there you go. And whenever you are ready, Marco will start the time.
Okay. And then I want to make sure that I can see the timer. So where is that timer going to appear?
If you scroll around, it depends a little bit on your setup, but you should see the time already.
Yeah, pin Marco's window and you'll see the timer. Marco, maybe you could start that timer again, please.
Okay.
You see it, Linda?
Sure. I will restart as soon as she starts talking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
All right. Ready when you are, Linda.
Good morning. What technology from 1834 is still used every day in healthcare? Well, if you guessed the fax machine, you would be right. In fact, in healthcare, we send 9 billion faxes. It's the #1 way we communicate with insurance companies, and I don't see the timer, at a cost of $125 billion annually. I apologize. I really would like to see the timer. I pinned the video, okay. And I'm actually seeing his face.
It's no problem at all, Linda. Do you know how to pin the specific?
I pinned his video, and it's actually showing his. I typed on pin. I apologize for interrupting, but it's like if I'm going to be held to time, I need to know what it is.
No problem. So, absolutely.
Maybe your smartphone, you could use that.
I can do my own timing. Is that what you're suggesting? Then?
Might be easier. Might be easier.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Now I see it.
This is
it
not
was
a competition.
Showing his picture. So if you could reset that, that would be fabulous. And then let me see if no, that's just gone blank. Okay. Well,
it'll start. Don't worry. It'll start. It'll start.
Now I see Mona Lisa is what I see on my screen.
Good.
Okay. Perfect.
As soon as you start talking, don't worry. I will restart the timer. It's up to you.
Yeah. And now everybody moved around. Okay. I will just pretend I don't need to know it. And we'll go from there, which is, I'm just going to start over. All right. Let's get going. Hey, right? Okay. What technology from 1834 is still used in healthcare every day? The fax machine. It's the #1 way that insurance companies communicate with providers for prior authorization. In fact, today, 2020, we send 9 billion faxes annually at a cost of $125 billion annually. So we do at iShare Medical is we automate these processes. So I'd like to go through a case study, and that case study is COVID. So there are over 100 infectious diseases that are reported to any given health jurisdiction. And most of those case reports are filed by filling out a paper form from data taken from electronic health system and then faxed to various state, federal, and local agencies. These reports are then re-entered into the public health system. Now, it was reported that Houston County, Texas received 40,000 faxes of COVID case reports. iShare Medical has developed electronic case reporting, or ECR, which automates the reporting of COVID and the other hundreds of infectious disease to the federal and state agencies. We determine which jurisdiction that's to be sent to. So right now, the hospitals have to send to multiple jurisdictions, and they fax the same information over and over again. This reduces the burden by automating it on the staff, saves time and costs, and improves the accuracy by reducing the errors due to missed data or re-entered data. iShare Medical is the trusted online platform for securing, sending, and sharing medical records among patients, providers, and payers. Deloitte calls this radical interoperability. We call it iShare Medical. 85% of healthcare executives said that interoperability was extremely important or very important. I'm Linda Van Horn, the founder of iShare Medical, and I created iShare Medical because we weren't solving the health IT problems. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and this is the third company I founded. Our customers include a pharmacy benefit management company sending 2.6 million transactions annually, a federal agency with over 500,000 providers, and a physical therapy group with 258 locations, to name a few. Our use cases include things like replacing the fax that we just saw, care coordination, and electronic case reporting for COVID. iShare Medical is ENAC accredited for HIPAA privacy and security, a direct trust accredited trust anchor, and one of only 3 companies that have achieved ENAC accreditation as a TNAP QHIN. We at iShare Medical, we share with some of the biggest players in the healthcare industry. Our network spans 2.4 million healthcare providers and transacts 250 million transactions quarterly. Our pricing is based upon tiers. We have 7 tiers, and they're based upon domains, users, and transactions. Our contracts are payable annually, and they're multi-year. Our enterprise customers, like our large PBMs, anchor our revenue stream. Our team is made up of a group of health IT experts and led by me, a serial entrepreneur that's already had a successful healthcare exit. Our marketing team consists of SimpleStrat, who does our lead generation and are bringing in our clients, and Barnett Strategies, who's worked with us on our pricing model, repeatable sales process. That's led by Chris Barnett. Chris has led the sales efforts at 2 other startup companies. One company sold for $225 million in that he led the sales at Berlingo, and the second company, iVerify, sold for $105 million. We are raising capital right now. We invite qualified investors to schedule a private meeting with us to go over more detail. I am Linda Van Horn, the President and CEO of iShare Medical. Thank you for your time.
All right, Linda, that was actually pretty good. A little bit on the long side. And if I can ask you to stop sharing the screen, then we get a little bit more real estate here for our discussion.
Sure.
All right, all right. So usually we just go around the screen and call one coach after another for some feedback. So today, I want to open the floor by asking any of our coaches here, is there anybody who wants to go first? Raise your hand. Marco, always the brave one. Marco, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Just very simple. Yeah, I liked it very much. As probably Michael said in the chat, I didn't really understand the real product, what you are actually providing. And talking specifically about the slides, I would like them being a set of cards given to the investors, but the ones used for showing them, they're kind of too much text. And in particular, you said it twice, and you can rewatch the video. Even restarted, you said 1834, even though it was 43. You already did wrong twice. So just, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Marco. And just adding on to that, that was actually an opening that I thought was really, really thought-provoking, because it kept me thinking about how old is the fax machine actually indeed, you know? So yeah, I'm curious to hear some more details about that, perhaps later on, Linda. Next up, Michael. He is always putting also comments into the chat box, Linda. So if you want to grab them before the meeting ends, so you get that feedback as well. Michael, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So good presentation in terms of where you're going from a business model for what I can gather out of it. But as Marco said, I wasn't really sure exactly what you were selling. Is this a service? Is this a platform? Is this software that somebody installs? Is it a network that you created? Is it a cooperative? I really didn't really get where it was coming from. The other thing too is you mentioned some big numbers about you know, where things fit in and the bazillions of transactions that happen everywhere else, but I didn't see anything about how many you have done or your specific thing. Say we have X number of transactions flowing through our system now. Our business model takes you know, X percentage off of the top, or we have a subscription model which requires you, these providers to you know, pay per transaction for these things. And it's 38% less than doing a fax transmission, etc. So as I put in the comments, I come from an RPA background where this whole concept of transferring data between systems is very relevant, especially within a government model. It transcends the healthcare, obviously, aspect of it, but also it begs the question of, from a security, governance, compliance model, how the data is transferred or whatnot. Fax is used because it is secure in that you send the data from one party to another, and it's received on the other side. There's not really a transmission intermediary, but it seems like you're introducing a transmission intermediary component, which you probably need to explain away how you're managing the governance and the compliance within the healthcare space, especially. And then again, overall, you mentioned yourself and your credentials several times to the point where I'm like, I got it, Linda. You've done this before a couple times. One time is probably enough to credentialize yourself as you're starting to talk about things. But then identify then what you're doing with your team. Don't spend a whole lot of time on the team unless there's like you have 9 PhDs who created this massive patented thing that you've got. Then focus on that a little bit more. But if it's a bunch of smart people doing something, mention them, but kind of move past that, because investors deal with companies that have a lot of smart people working for them all the time. So not necessarily diving into that as much as where the business model is, because that's what the investors are really looking at. Yes, you know your stuff, great. What's the business model? How am I as an investor going to benefit from participating in this on an ongoing basis? And what do you need to help as you're looking for money? So that's the other thing too, is if I'm looking for money now, we're looking to grow this, we really need to do X, Y, and Z with this money from a marketing or network standpoint.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. And I absolutely agree about the credentials, building up the credibility. I'm sure Nathan will probably comment on this as well, because there is a difference between a very obvious brag and what Nathan calls the subtle brag. So Nathan, do you want to take over from here, please?
Okay, sure thing. Nice. Welcome back, Linda, and nice to see your smiling face again. Everybody should know that I've known Linda for now the better part of maybe, what, 3 years now, Linda? And we've worked together before, and I've helped her prepare for some pretty important presentations. So I'll reserve some of what I say to let the rest of the coaches speak, but let me just go into the main thing is that it's still feels a little bit like education-ish and not persuasiveness. What I'd love to see here, Linda, is to take that 1843 opening and make it 3 sentences at most, and then get to what you do. Because it felt like, I love the opening, the idea of the fax, and yes, believe it or not, people should know on the line that faxes are still heavily used today, not just in healthcare, but in other, in law and other kinds of things, in real estate, where faxes are still heavily used, but we don't see it being used much anymore. So I do like that opening, but I feel like we need to focus it in on the benefits that you provide through iShare Medical, because it sounded a bit like you're just replacing a fax after a while. Like, we don't need these faxes anymore. We're doing too much, blah, blah, blah. So let me ask you, what is your goal for a pitch like this? I know who your audience was, but what was your goal?
My goal was really this presentation today. This is not our normal pitch deck, and I worked on this last night because I just got invited a couple days ago, and so I put it together last night. And it's frustrating for me not to be able to show like our client base, and I have I changed it a couple times, but we are how the our trust framework works, about, you know, authentication, proving who you are, the authorization, which is what you have access to, and the actual data sharing, which are the rules of the road of what you can and cannot do in sharing in our trust framework. But I had to pull out a lot of that stuff for a 3-minute presentation.
Okay. Well, I'll give it up to some of the other coaches here. We need to figure out a way that very clearly and distinctly people know what you're doing, because I think many of us on the line here might still be a bit confused on what you do, but also who your customer is and who uses your product. I think it's still not clear. We'll see. But so let me turn it over to the other, and sorry to correct, but it's the humble brag that I use from an author called Peggy Klaus. She wrote this book called Brag, and the humble brag, as Claudia mentioned, or a subtle brag, or a gentle brag, soft brag, needs to come up sooner, Linda. We need to know who you are in the first 20, 30 seconds. Otherwise, you're just a woman until you get to the team slide, or until you get to the point where you say, I'm a serial entrepreneur, done this 2-3 times, done healthcare. So it's a humble brag, you know, something like, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As a serial entrepreneur in my second healthcare startup, I can tell you without a doubt, we are here to blah, 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 blah. That's it. Just something gentle, rolling, story-ish.
Nice, Nathan. Thank you very, very much. I also agree that, you know, the opening, you spent a lot of time on the problem, Linda. You spent probably about half of your pitch on the problem, right? And I think that one is probably an area that you can compress quite a bit.
1 minute and 45 seconds on the problem, actually.
Yeah, I have it down as 140, but
okay. All right.
Scotty, I saw you taking meticulous notes as always. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, so Linda is obviously a brilliant idea, and I've known about fax usage for a long time. I used to be in international business, but I didn't realize when it was invented, so that was interesting. And to Nathan's point, I didn't feel a story, and part of it was vocal variety. I felt like you could really own some of your verbiage, say it more crisply, you know, own it and have passion about it. I felt like that was missing, on top of a clearer storyline, you know, which is something obviously that you can continue to develop. And also you can save some time with your wording in that. I think it was around slide 3 or 4, I'm not sure. I thought I heard you say, I'd like to go through a case study, COVID. And, you know, and that takes time, as opposed to saying, you may not realize, but in our current pandemic, we are sending, you know, this many faxes have to go through the system, and it's slowing it down. I know it's a platform, but I didn't really get exactly how it worked, how you make money, and also how the clients save money, because there's obviously, you know, you're solving the pain problem, the pain point for them, both in terms of time and money, and efficiency for people, you know, for customers. And then I thought, losing my train of thought here. Oh, you also said that you solve health IT problems. That should come in really early on. And why you? So like you're a serial entrepreneur, which is awesome, but something must have given you the spark for this idea and why you thought you could solve it. So that could be part of your storyline. You know, as a serial entrepreneur, I've already seen how problems can be solved in X, and realized I could apply that to solving the healthcare IT problems, which are terrible right now. Look at this case. You know, maybe it's even a vignette for one of your customers. I'm not sure, but, and just have a little more enthusiasm, because I didn't hear your confidence in this. I mean, you're the expert. You're teaching us why and how you're doing this. And I didn't really feel that yet. So, but I love the idea. Want to know more about how when the fax was invented. Also, the surprise.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much, Scotty. And we still have a lot of people on the line. Chris, please take the floor, unmute yourself.
Hi, I just want to preface this by saying I am not a coach. I'm just a listener. And I did really like the speech. And to echo, I think what a few other people have said, I think a lot of time was spent on the problem, which is that US healthcare is a mess, and everybody knows that it is. So I would have definitely compressed that into something along the lines of US healthcare is a mess. And then spent a lot more time on how you can fix it. And I think I may be disagreeing with a few other people. I don't really care about how to fix it, like the technology per se, even though I am a bit of a technologist. I really want to know what the advantage of the solution is, and some evidence of the fact that it is possible, like the accreditation that you mentioned from these various accreditation folks, which, you know, obviously you did have in there. But the one thing that did confuse me at the beginning is the 1843 and the fax machine. I don't think Alexander Graham Bell was alive at that point. So
Alexander Graham Bell didn't invent the fax machine. The fax machine was before the radio and the telephone.
So I would throw that in there because you're going to throw some people off.
Yep. Clearly, yes. I recommend that as well, because seriously, for me, it kept my mind occupied for about 30, 40 seconds. I was like, how is it possible? But I'm sure she knows, because this is your business, right? So yeah, perhaps a very, very brief explanation, kind of like, because you will also build more rapport, right? If you make such a bold statement and then immediately follow up with, I know what you're thinking, blah, 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 right? You're really helping the audience to get on the same playing field. So a short explanation there, I agree, Chris, would be absolutely valuable. Jess, John, hi. Anybody? I see Jess is getting ready to unmute herself. Please do and grab the floor.
Okay, just a few quick things. I felt like you had some really impressive things at the very end, but we kind of rushed through them. So I couldn't wrap my head around. You said I think you said these are the big players in the space. I didn't know, like, is that your competition or is that people you work with?
They're people we exchange with, yeah.
So that wasn't clear to me, but I thought, wow, this is amazing. So put that stuff maybe earlier. And then, like other people have said, don't play up your outsourced helps, not outsourced help, that's the wrong term, but like your marketing team's stuff, because they're not your people, right? Like they're phenomenal, but they're just a part of your business, right? So, you know, we don't need to hear about them quite as much. But otherwise it's great. So, and you know, I agree with having a little more enthusiasm is helpful.
Thank you very much, Jess. And we have Samantha Liederman. John, hi. Who wants to go?
I go.
All right.
So with the investor, are they in the healthcare business also? Do you know, Linda? Because
it doesn't necessarily have to be. We really do like to have strategic partners that are in the healthcare industry, but this, as I said, it was prepared for today's presentation. It's not our normal pitch deck, which is more of a 10-minute pitch.
Right. I thought it's good, but actually I worked for 3M HIS for a long time, so I know the space very well. In EMR, you know, I understand that they stack of paper, and what they used to do is they scan all these in images. So
Right.
it's a very big business. And I would, for me, I would like to know how that your solution can solve that business, because it's a huge business and hospitals spend a lot of money. And I used to build some of these systems. So, but there's an in-house system, and it's realm of database, and it's humongous, and it's imaging, because it's take all these paper and it's imaging them. And on top of that, they need to index them, right? So they can search for them. So, it'd be interesting to see how you solve that, but if they are in the healthcare business, they probably know a little bit more about this. That's all.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Hi, does OCR come into that? Hi, sorry, Claudio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, they don't do OCR, because OCR is a next step, but they do a lot of manual indexing, because they need to know patient, right? You scan it in, and they need to search for this person, and it would come in a lot of documents. But it's a big business. Yeah.
Would you like for me to answer that, or just listen to the comments?
Please go ahead. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay. So there are 3 exchange protocols used in healthcare, and there are 4 trust frameworks. So the 3 protocols used in healthcare are the direct protocol, and that is the trust framework is a direct trust. We're a direct trust accredited trust anchor, as is Cerner, SureScripts, Athena Health, eClinical, 2 federal agencies, Indian Health Services and the VA. The second protocol is called IHE, for integrating the healthcare enterprise. And that protocol is used by 3 trust frameworks: CareQuality, Commonwealth, and eHealth Exchange. And then the third protocol that's used in healthcare is FHIR, the Fast Healthcare Interoperable Resource. That does not have a trust framework. And so they have a process for authentication, but not for identity management. One of the key pieces that we do is identity management, where we ID proof the patient, the provider, the payer, the device, and assign 2 pairs of cryptographic keys. One key pair is used for digital signature, the other one for encryption and decryption. And then we use those key pairs to bind the transaction of the sender and receiver to encrypt the transaction, so that only the sender and receiver can decrypt the message and read it. And we are HIPAA compliant. Our data center is HITRUST accredited, and we're ENAC accredited for HIPAA privacy and security. So there's a lot of layers of that. And I could go deeper dive, because I'm a technical person, and that's where I want to go. So I apologize if I didn't keep it up there.
Okay, I think that will go above the format or beyond the format that we have here. But Michael made a very, very interesting comment in the chat box, and I would like you to quickly elaborate on that, because I actually even like the term dinner party pitch. Michael.
Yeah, so I've talked about with other entrepreneurs about this, and that is, if you were going to a dinner party and someone asked you, guys, tell me about your business. What do you do? Okay, you're in a spot where you have no idea if they understand the healthcare technology, blockchain, cryptographic pairs, et cetera. They're going to go look at you and say, what do you do? The expectation is you're able to give them some sort of engaging response that won't turn them away to go get another drink while you continue to talk about cryptographic pairs. So getting that dinner party pitch, I think, is a really good way of going about describing to anybody what you do, including investors, because that hooks them in a way that, hey, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this to give you a level set of where we're at. I can go down to the nth degree to talk about our data center and the way we do fiber optic connectivity between all of our servers, do load balance and blah, blah, blah. On the technical side, if you want to go there, most people won't. But you give them that setup to start with, which everyone can relate to. So we have that dinner party pitch. It's really going into like, what do you do? Oh, I create this really cool way that providers and hospitals and clinics can transact records without using fax machines. And it's really growing because this is a big problem, or whatever it is. I don't know how you want to describe it, but something really that boils it down into what you really do. And then people can ask you more questions after that to dive into whatever details that you've snagged them on along the way, but it gives them that level set as of, you know, what do you do?
Wow, excellent. I really, really love it. Run to the patent office and get this term trademarked or copyrighted or whatever needs to be done. I absolutely love it. Dinner party pitch. Now, actually, we would be at the end of our 30 minutes, but I feel there is so much value right now that is coming Linda's way that I really, really would like John, Liederman, Samantha, please, if you have anything that you can add, please feel free despite of the time. Liederman.
Yes, so Linda, I think great feedback here, but one of the things that I noticed, which is it's hard for us entrepreneurs sometimes when we're technical, is the presentation I could see that I have so much that I want to tell you, right? Well, that is not the moment for that. It's the moment for like, I'll tell you just a little thing that you need to know. So you would say, Linda, I really need to talk more to you. I need to know more about it, right? It's just that. Give them that little something that they say, gosh, I need to talk to this woman. She knows her stuff. This is important. I want to know more. And I think that's, so don't use that presentation. I would say my recommendation would be to tell everything you know, because you know that presentation will be hours because you are an expert. You know your area, you know healthcare, you've done this before, you know what you're after. So that would be my thing. And one more thing that I like to say is, and this is just probably just me, you know, when you talk about how big the issue with the fax machine is, I think that's great, but it also makes me wonder, why hasn't it changed? Why is healthcare okay with that? And what makes you think that you can change that? So maybe telling a little bit the story of why the industry is changing, right? And rapidly moving to this, you know, replacing fax mode. I think that would be, I see why those $1 trillion are so important and how you are going to change that or be one of those companies that is en route to change that. Those are my comments.
Excellent, excellent, and right on both of these points. Samantha, do you have anything that you want to add? John, perhaps just unmute yourself and take over.
Yeah. Go ahead, John. Okay, well, I'll just go really quick. Linda, I thought that the introduction for yourself was fantastic. It was really, really powerful. I might put that before the use case, and then kind of what Scotty said, just a quick mention of the use case right after you introduce yourself and give all of your great credentials, I think would be really powerful. Another thing is on the screen where you shared that you know all the biggest players in the industry that you guys are working with. I think that'd be a great time to talk about your business model, because those are the people that you're working with to solve the problem that you're solving. And I've seen you pitch before. I know that you typically do that when you get into that slide. Today was, you know, kind of a quicker one, but yeah, that would be my feedback.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And to wrap it up, Samantha.
So I would just add in, we never know what situation we're going to get presented with. So I thought that first starting with that question was really powerful, and I wanted to know. But when we got into that whole, how much time do I have? It's like the momentum just went for me, and so when you started again, it's like, well, now I know what you know, I've got the punchline. So you know, you're getting into momentum, but I'm following you. I've got to try and get back into it as well. And because you're talking on a subject matter that I'm not familiar with, I'm like, okay, I've got to get that momentum up, and then I've got to follow you as well. So I just think you never know when you'll show up and you think you have 10 minutes and you only have 5, or excuse me, you can't see the clock. You just got to do it, and let whatever may come, and try and get back in front of the investor again if you need to. So I say, don't let that throw you off. But I actually liked your tone and the way you're delivering your voice. Like that did, even though I didn't know the subject matter, your voice still kept me listening. So I think that worked well for me. So that's my bits.
All right, thank you very, very much, Samantha. And I feel that today we had tremendous feedback for you, Linda. The general tone is really that you did an excellent job. Your pitch is already really, really great. So despite of the volume of feedback, you know, I hope that this was actually useful for you as well, and that you will be able to integrate some, or perhaps even all of this feedback into a new version of such a short pitch. And what I would like to do is to invite you back in a couple of weeks. Once you had some time to incorporate this feedback, come back and present the new and improved version. And before we wrap up totally today, let me ask you, Linda, was this helpful for you? And if so, what did you take out of this session today?
I think everything you do is helpful. You learn as you go. I certainly did get rattled by the not having the timer, because I probably should have just kept going. If I was in front of an audience, I probably would have done that. But I think that a lot of the feedback about, I just need, less is more, and get that down. And honestly, and I shouldn't probably admit that, I should have taken more prep time. I mean, it was a short notice thing, and I didn't have a short pitch prepared. And so I kind of put it together, and I regret, actually accepting the invitation in that regard, because that's a disservice to you guys too. Because I just, needed to put that together. But I really appreciate that feedback, and
not at all, Linda. No, this is a good example of a situation, like I think somebody said in the chat window. You just need to adapt to whatever the situation is. So you didn't waste our time. You didn't compromise our time. I don't think anybody on the line here feels like you wasted our time at all. It's a good lesson for you and all of us.
Absolutely, and you really, really did great, because I know, when you and Nathan connected and he invited you for this, I saw the exchanges going back and forth, and I actually had a discussion earlier with Nathan, right? And I said, okay, so I think the challenge is going to be the 3 minutes in this case. It looks like Linda is an experienced presenter. She has done this over and over already, but the 3 minutes are a challenge. And this is what makes us grow as human beings. If we get out of that comfort zone into a challenge, and therefore I really, really hope that you will come back in a few weeks again, Linda, and show us what you were able to do with the feedback.
And I want to say, I do have, because I was scribbling stuff. I don't know. I've got, 2 pages of notes. So I did listen to the feedback, and I did write it down.
Great.
So know that I did, and I appreciate all your time.
Really good. And you will also get a copy of the recording. It takes me usually a couple of minutes to get it transcoded and put a little bumper in the front and back, but it should be out in an hour or 2. So enjoy that, because it really, really helps you not only to re-listen to the feedback yourself, but to see yourself giving the pitch and listening to your intonation, to your enthusiasm, and things like that. So thank you, Linda, very, very much for taking the hot seat today. And I thank all of the coaches for lots of really, really valuable feedback as every week. And with that, I wish you all a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And I shall see you again next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.